$400 million of funding goes into finding one product and solving that. So that's the difference. That's what we are seeing. And that's what's exciting as well, that you can actually come up with these solutions. What Xiaoping is doing here in Singapore is interesting.
What's the point of no return though? Because at some point, you're looking at a 7% market.
Yeah.
You're looking at a doubling of consumption.
Yeah.
But you're also looking at a rising middle class, which is an interesting and local the Australian
It can change. It will change. That's probably the last generation which believed that food from overseas is better. With this, the amazing thing about food is that preferences change. I'll give you an example. None of us probably here grew up eating avocados. Did your mother serve you avocado while growing up? But you probably ordered an avocado toast.
Yeah.
You just slowly gradually eat berries because somebody's told you they're healthy. Now, those behaviors are not going to change tomorrow, but in 10 years, those behaviors will change. Just because we had a melamine crisis in China and a scandal, we don't trust the milk coming out of China. That'll take 10 years to build it, but it will get there. And if good quality solutions, high quality companies come in, this mindset that we don't have a good food system, we have to import, I think this can change. Singapore is beginning to change. The sustainable kale that we sell over here earns a premium, not the one that comes from Australia, because it says that it's actually tastier and it's better. So
but the thing is, right, US, Western markets, traditional suppliers of food, they're continuing to innovate and invest more capex and opex at a faster, larger pace than Asian producers. So at some point, the cost of higher quality products is lower, even though it's in the Asian
It's not
market.
true. That's not how we don't think that the immense value the technology has will be there. And it's not just that the US markets and Western markets have a one-way street where they're just getting better and better. And the United States has a huge challenge in terms of labor. But of course, if we don't innovate over here and we don't find solutions that work with our system, that's for sure it's going to happen. We're just going to continue to depend more and more on those markets to get our cheese from France and our milk from Australia and our fresh berries from Argentina. That's the way we are going. All we're saying is there is an alternate way which requires innovation and different mindset.
Is there a point though when it just doesn't make sense to invest in Asia if we keep going in that direction? Is it 2030? Is that the point?
I think the challenge is if we depend so much on the West, we probably will have a very unoptimal food system. We will not have a food system that is necessarily sustainable. We're not saying that globalization is not good, but it's not in everything that we need to do that. So the way we are going is we are just depending more and more of that. Our fish is shipped on our fresh fish, the salmon that we all eat. Every time we go to, you see a salmon. Again, none of us grew up eating salmon. Salmon is a fish from Norway or Chile. That's where it's produced. But today it's in every restaurant you see salmon. And it comes all the way. And fresh salmon has to be air flown. And air flown salmon is not sustainable. It might be farmed with greatest sustainable sources, but when it got onto a plane and came over here, it was not. Now we have a system here in Singapore and other places where we can farm salmon here. It requires innovation, it requires investment. So I'm not sure that we are at that point where that question is clear that we need to depend on these. Brazil has massive scale. Their chicken. We did this work, very interesting piece of work with A-Star, where we mapped the environmental footprint of the food we eat in Singapore. And ironically, we found out that chicken coming from Brazil has a lesser environmental footprint than chicken coming from Malaysia. Now that's not true for everything because chicken supply chains are developed. So not always local is not necessarily always good. So we're not even saying we have to have a local everything, but there are certain things is better. When you get your leafy greens from Australia, they can only last as much before they get into food waste. So we feel there is hope to the sector if we innovate. And it also is a sector which will create jobs. It will create exciting startups. There's pools of capital. We have invested $5 billion US in the last few years itself. We have appetite to do more, but the Horizon Ventures, which is Lika Shing, they are investing heavily into this sector. You will hear them tomorrow, Selena Chow. I mean, they see an opportunity as well. What we are noticing is we are investing in Western startups and bringing those Western companies over here and trying to solve a problem in China. We actually now see an opportunity. Why don't we develop those companies here and back them and then help them develop a solution in China?
I mean, Bio and Possible, and I mean, your investment in Shop, for instance, is through a $50 million fund that you don't control.
That's right.
It feels like most of the investments are MNC focused, not necessarily West focused, but you're trying to
by size, you're absolutely right that our investments tend to be more on big companies just because they can absorb more capital. Small companies can only invest a little bit. We have invested, you're absolutely right. If I take the entire investment that we have made in Singapore, it's not going to be a big amount. But hopefully, as more companies come in and Sustainable scales up and it raises a $100 million round, we will see that. Definitely, if we don't do this, we will never see that happen.
Just wonder, you mentioned earlier about a lot of the current investment actually goes to downstream, but the multiples show the production upstream is even more profitable. So
well, the multiples and the profits are two different things. So it could be lower profitability.
Right.
Typically, actually, upstream is not as profitable. Depends on various sectors, and again, we can't generalize food in one particular thing. But that talks about multiple, which is more of a talk of the growth of the future profits rather than the current profits per se. But what we see is Asia is ignoring its upstream.
So what are the reasons?
The reasons for that is the lack of innovation. We are leaving it to the farmers to solve their problems. The governments are not acting. The corporates are leaving it. We have given up our hands and say our agricultural system doesn't work because we have too small farms, and therefore let's just depend on the West and import everything. Maybe that's where we will end up in 10 years more so. But if we don't try, we definitely would not have seen an alternate view around it. And Netherlands is a great example. It's a small place where we can innovate. Israel is a great example. I mean, Israel is an exporter of food. They don't even have water. But because they had this crisis and they created a system, they can now export high-value produce. I think in Singapore, you will see in 5 years, this 30 by 30 probably is not going to be supplying 30% of the food, but it will probably create some enterprises which are exporting food out of Singapore, high-value food, and still importing certain things. We'll create some comparative advantages for ourselves. We'll probably have a big shock meat plant which can export things, whereas we are continuing to still buy shrimp from Vietnam. So let's see how we think there is an opportunity in reimagining the sector.
Just wanted to Thank you. I saw that you only cover Middle Eastern.
No. I have two roles. My day job is food and agriculture globally. Middle East and Africa, I moonlight as covering that as well. So I usually don't give that card, but I've run out of my simple cards.
I'll take the Middle Eastern card.
So Louisa could not make it?
She couldn't.
Yes.
No, she hasn't been, I don't think, very well. But,
Oh, really?
not sort of unwell.
Yes. That's fine. I'll just drop her an
Work
email.
and over-travel, but I know she'd love to be here.
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you, Joseph. Nice to meet you as well.
Yeah, do you know them?